Hi, welcome to my next episode of Facebook Live Q&A. Unfortunately, this isn't live though, because generally when I'm on the cruise ship, which I am right now, on the Celebrity Millennium, the data connection is just too slow to do this live. So I'm continuing with the episodes, just recording them previously, or pre-recording them rather, and then posting them later. So the question I'm addressing today is about the body, mindfulness of the body. And as some of you may know, in my teachings I emphasize the body scanning practice very much so. And I've been asked why I emphasize the body scanning or mindfulness of the body so much in my practice and in my writings. So I'm just going to read first briefly from the numerical discourse of the Buddha, one of the first discourses that the Buddha gave. And then I'm going to talk a bit about mindfulness of the body. Now, in the numerical discourses, there's about 7 pages where the Buddha expounds on the benefits of mindfulness of the body. Now, I'm not going to subject all of you to 7 pages of reading, but I just selected my favorite, or the one that I thought was most poignant. The Buddha says, "Monks and nuns, when one thing is developed and cultivated, the mind becomes tranquil, thought and examination subside, and all wholesome qualities that pertain to true knowledge reach fulfillment by development. What is that one thing? Mindfulness of the body." So when the Buddha gave his first discourse about 2,500 years ago, he made the profound statement that life contains suffering. That was one of his first teachings. It's actually the first of the 4 Noble Truths. Now, the word that the Buddha used in Pali was dukkha. And luckily for us, shortly after this discourse was given, one of the first students that the Buddha had asked the Buddha exactly what he meant by the word dukkha. The Buddha replied, "Dukkha is birth, dukkha is sickness, dukkha is aging and death, dukkha is not getting what one wants, dukkha is getting what one doesn't want, dukkha is being separated from those who are dear and being close to those who are not dear." And then after defining dukkha in such a way, he instructed that for us to live a life free from suffering, we have to embrace the experience of dukkha, of all of these discomforts, ranging from birth, sickness, aging, and death, getting what one wants, getting what one doesn't want, and so forth. So really, when you look at dukkha in this way, it's really a carrion call to embrace the wholeness of life, the entire experience of life. This is an important teaching on many, many levels. The teaching of embracing the very discomforts of life. See, as human beings, we're instinctually programmed to push away discomfort and to cling to comforts. This makes the teachings of dukkha very, very tricky. So let's break this down a bit. When we're at a young age, around 2, 3, we begin to construct our ego. This is done in many, many ways as we grow, but here we'll primarily be discussing the separation that arises between the body and the mind. That separation which naturally stems from human growth and development. Now this separation, this divide between body and mind, psyche and soma, happens effortlessly as we begin to mature. At that age, it seems to us that all of our pains and horrors from our impermanent life can be found in the body. In addition to that fright, that horror, from those pains, we seek safety in our newly forming verbal mind. We can imagine a sense of permanency because we can say the word tree, for example. And we look at a tree, and we label it tree, and indeed it is a tree. And it looks the same as it did yesterday, and it will probably look the same tomorrow as it does today. When we cut this tree down, we change the label to lumber, and that label stays the same. It's always lumber until it becomes mulch, and then we label it mulch, or paper, or pencil, and so forth. As a result of this labeling process, we can imagine a fixed, permanent state, because the tree always remains a tree to us as long as our memory holds up. And that paper will always stay paper. So due to this fear of death, change, and impermanence, we create a separation between mind and body. And out of that separation, we identify almost exclusively with the thinking mind. Thus, people experience their body much in the same way they experience their car or perhaps a horse. The body now becomes separate. It becomes a vehicle in which we travel through our life in, rather than who we are moving through life. Now this is all fine and good, except now we have dissociated from the body to such a degree that it seems difficult for many people to sense the emotional and psychological discomforts which manifest in the body. This problem seems epidemic to me worldwide, but I believe it's most prevalent in the West. In the 21st century, we feel discomfort and pain, but once we feel that discomfort and pain, we feel there's something terribly wrong with our situation, with our circumstances, our body, our mind, or our heart. We've somehow come to believe that we should not ever feel discomfort or pain. This is giving birth to a worldwide opioid crisis, unnecessary surgical procedures, and many severe imbalances. We've either forgotten the teachings on embracing dukkha, or perhaps we never heard them. Either way, this is a serious problem. So how can we bring the balance back? What can we do to bring this balance back, to embrace our experience of dukkha? One way to bring this balance back is to learn to become comfortable with all of the sensations of the body. Not just the discomforts and pains, mind you, but all of the body. The body is not only home to great pains, but it's also home to wonderful, ecstatic, blissful sensations. When we reclaim our body back from the conceptual mind and heal the wound between psyche and soma, we reclaim the entire spectrum lost, from erotic bliss to searing muscle pain. One way to do this, and the method that I teach as a part of the Such Sweet Thunder meditation program, is body scanning. We go through the body very slowly and very thoroughly, embracing and experiencing all of the energies and sensations of the body very deeply. When we do that body scanning practice, we learn not to visualize the body, rather, as that visualization process is only reinforcing the concept of the body. We learn to feel the body from the inside out. See, when a person feels hate towards another person or situation, it isn't the person or situation they hate. It's the way that idea of that person or situation feels in the body. When we encounter a person, any person, we feel a feeling tone in the body. We then interpret that feeling tone with either attraction, aversion, or indifference. If for whatever reason we interpret the feeling tone with aversion, we will use whatever means we have at our disposal to eliminate that experience. We then project that aversion onto the other person which gave rise to that feeling tone. We project that hate of our own body sensations onto the other. We fail to recognize that we are, in reality, hating ourselves. We know we hate something, and that something seems, in a very real and concrete way, to be outside of our body, outside of our mind, outside of our heart. Why? Because we have identified with our thoughts and split off from our body. The feeling tone and corresponding sensations which we are hating arise in that body. But because our body and the other person now both feel like not us, we end up hating the other person. When this projection is completed, it feels and becomes very easy for us to inflict pain and harm onto the other person. The other has become a vehicle for our projected hate. Add the fear of aging and the fear of death that is so prevalent in America, the addiction to entertainment, the constant ability to numb out through technology, the growing political divisions worldwide, and the social prevalence and preference to experience our fellow brothers and sisters through their belief structures, rather than recognize them as the beautiful spirit that they truly are. And bam, you get gun violence on an epidemic level, race crimes, gender equality, and too many social illnesses to list. Life contains suffering. If we could learn to embrace and get to know our sufferings, irritations, and discomforts intimately, we might be able to heal from these illnesses. I implore you to learn to feel the body very deeply. Take a yoga class, learn Qigong or Tai Chi or meditation practices which include a body scanning feature. Learn to accept both the highs and lows of life in the body, mind, and heart. There really may be no greater pursuit. Thanks for tuning in. I just read a new passage out of the book Such Sweet Thunder. I've just put this passage in the section on body and mind, so pardon me if I felt a little stilted there while I was reading. But I wrote this after meditating deeply on the incidences that have been happening worldwide with the gun violence, and in particular in New Zealand this last week. This is so very important, to learn to feel the body, learn to feel what anger, what aversion feels like on a physical level, and learn to reclaim our own feelings and expressions of aversion and attraction and indifference. So, with that, tune in next time. I'm sure I'll be back with more very soon. Thank you very much. May all benefit.